It's time to tune in to Defending the Faith with Frank Harber. Hear the latest about religious liberty.
A win for religious freedom in one of the remaining blockbuster cases facing the U.S. Supreme Court this term.
A legal battle continues for the Little Sisters of the Poor for nearly a decade now.
A street preacher armed with a speaker, a microphone, and a camera strapped to his chest is now banned from the village.
Our founding fathers believed in the separation of church and state, but not for one fleeting moment did they believe in the separation of God and government.
And powerful apologetics. Are you prepared to defend the faith?
I'm convinced unless we trust in God, this nation is finished.
We're facing a new kind of enemy. We're involved in a new kind of warfare, and we need the help of the Spirit of God.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Defending the Faith. And we have a very special episode today. I'll tell you about it in a moment. But if you're listening in for the first time, I am Frank Harber. I'm the president of the Institute for Christian Defense. And we defend the faith. We defend the faith in the legal arena. I'm an attorney and a minister. We do religious liberty cases across the country. And we also do Christian apologetics. And we help people understand why Christianity is the truth. We live in a world in which some people say there is no such thing as truth, but we believe that there is such thing. And today, my wife Becky is co-hosting with me today. And we got a very special show because recently we saw a preview of a movie, and we got to see one of the early cuts of this movie. And the name of this movie is called Peace River. And did you think that was a good movie? What'd you think?
Well, I think it was a very good movie. I love it. In fact, I just want to say what a privilege it is to be asked to preview it. And thank you for entrusting that to us. But I think that it's definitely something that everybody should see.
Oh, this is a must see. I remember when The Passion of the Christ came out, and our church rented a movie theater. We rented the whole thing, and I think pastors who are watching this need to very much consider this. You're going to hear about an opening date. It's a Fathom event, March the 3rd, and we're going to tell you more about it as we go and at the end. But you're going to want to take your people from your church to this event. And then also later in the future, I think you should think about, renting out a movie theater and sponsoring this movie and showing it, because it has a great Christian message. Now, today we have 3 very special guests. And so, I tell you what, I don't even know which one to go to first, because we've got the cinematographer, Douglas Vail, and that was the first thing you notice about this movie. There's been a lot of, Christian movies that are made where the quality is low. Not this one. Okay, this movie is up there. So, this is just astounding. And then we have the voice. And so Ben Jones is the grandfather in this movie. He's Bo Shane. He's an amazing job. When you see the preview, you'll do it. But then also we've got Jessica Nunes-Wood. Did I say that right?
You got it. Yes, sir.
Yes. And so, man, I tell you what, you did an amazing job in that movie as Maria Martinez. Just fabulous. You got a big future in front of you. I think we're going to start with Ben, because Ben, you got to tell us how this whole thing came about, and then you got to tell us how you met Doug. And I'm going to kind of let you kick us off here.
Well, I grew up cowboy, loved Western culture. We had a family ranch in North Louisiana. I rodeoed in high school and college, and just always loved Western way of life. Have always had horses, and a number of years ago, I got to know some of these big ranchers in New Mexico, and I'd go out a couple of times a year. And also, I'm a lay preacher, and I'm a storyteller. I enjoy telling stories. Most of my stories are nonfiction. This is actually my first work of fiction, this script here, but I was out there about 12 years ago on a spring roundup, and I just think I think God sent me a telegram. I just had this idea. I was aware that we'd had soldiers that fought on horseback in Afghanistan, and I thought of the historical anachronism of that. I mean, we've sent people to the moon on a rocket, and yet in the 21st century here we have soldiers riding horses in the battle. And within about 72 hours, I had basically the whole story sketched out. And took me a number of years to finish it. We had the economic disruption after 2008, kind of had me distracted there for a while, but finally finished the script, developed the business plan. I was in Orlando, Florida at the International Christian Film Festival, staggering around like a guy who doesn't know where he's going, which I didn't. I was looking for one movie. I couldn't find it. The start times were all simultaneous. I said, well, I'm just going to walk into this theater and watch whatever's on the screen. I went in, I saw XL, The Temptation of Christ, which was Doug's first feature-length film, and I was blown away. I mean, I was so moved. I thought, this is one of the best movies I've ever seen. I mean, like top 5 of my life. So I introduced myself to him afterwards, and I told him I had a story idea. He said he'd love to look at it. Next day, I sent him the synopsis. He said, you got my attention. Send me the script. I sent him the script. He read it that night. Next morning, he called me. He said, let's go to New Mexico. I'm ready. And that's how we got this thing going.
Doug, you have skills, man. I'm gonna tell you. I don't know if I should call you Yoda or something like this, but how did you learn to do that?
I think working with Ben helped a lot. This man is really the real deal. He's a really sweet, smart, masculine, classic, stuck at a time individual you just don't run into anymore. And in a past life, I was making documentaries for families. I worked with families. I would shoot interviews for the elderly of the family, and we would try to capture their story and try to remind the family of a legacy before their elderly would pass on. And so I think some of my skills kind of sharpened in that place. And when I got to meet Ben, even though the film was fiction, I knew that I was communicating something very sincere and very real about who Benjamin Jones is as a person. And so I really just kind of dialed in a lot of those prior skills and listened a lot to what he had to say about the dream and the vision for the film. So yes, there is some technical, of course, that goes into the work that I do as a director and a cinematographer and editor, but so much of what made Peace River successful was just the vision, the clarity, and the rapport that Ben and I had. So it was definitely a team effort.
It's amazing. And even though it is a fiction movie, I do want to say, especially those of you who are considering to go see the movie, that it fits. I mean, there's a 9/11 piece in it. There's a military piece that has to do with our country and has to do with liberty, and the Christian message that comes through is amazing. And, you know, Jessica, your character, well, you just go through the gauntlet in this whole movie. I mean, you're just so fun to watch. Tell us about how you got involved in this picture.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you so much for your kindness. I continue to be so grateful every day that I was welcomed with open arms into this project. And when I first read the casting, I felt like it was myself on paper. It was Hispanic American, growing up with equestrian experience, high-spirited, deeply spiritual, high integrity. It just felt like me. So I submitted my information immediately, and I felt there was a calling of some sort to really go above and beyond to try and reach these casting people because I didn't want to miss this opportunity. So I did as much research as I could, and I found that Douglas had an Instagram page through FaithWorks. And I actually sent him a video just kind of telling him a little bit about my story and why I would be honored to just even read the script and see if I could add value to the project. And I sent in a couple scenes for my audition. I had an interview with Douglas Vail, Benjamin Jones, and Meg Jones. And the interview was incredible. It just felt like we were old friends who were catching up from a long time ago. And we all had a really beautiful shared vision that only came more to life in that first interview. And we were off to the races from there. So I continue to be grateful to have these wonderful people in my life and to be a part of what I believe will be a really impactful project.
I love how it all came together. And Ben, if I understand, this is a little bit of a family project. Is that right? She mentioned Meg.
Oh yeah, my wife Meg.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, were you asking me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was. Meg is. She's a co-executive producer. She acted in the film, and she was like pretty much all of us. We did a little of everything. We were all multitaskers. And also my son is in the movie. He plays one of the military soldiers. He's actually a 17-year veteran of the Air Force. And so it was really a special experience to be in there with my wife and my son.
This movie certainly portrays love on multiple levels. Love relationships, love for land and country, but most importantly, the redemptive love of God.
Right.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I love what I like about the movie is that it's, man, it's just, it flows. So sometimes I remember we used to watch Christian movies and they would get too corny. They'd get too cheesy. They'd get a little preachy, this and that. This movie, it just flows. And of course, the whole message, I think, is, you know, really lived out and displayed through Maria. So, I mean, you do such a good job portraying this character and all the emotions. I was going to ask you if it was hard to do, but you were saying it just kind of fits you when you read the script, because I heard you live in Colorado and you ride horses and this comes real natural to you.
Yeah, you know, I think one of the things that really connected in my spirit with this was really going through who Ben and Doug wanted Maria to represent. And I was so honored to be able to step into this role to really exemplify what, you know, the Holy Spirit can serve as the anchor in our lives. And I think it's really beautifully written by Ben, how Maria's journey from, you know, innocent love to heartbreak and finding her own way through just the deepest valleys of life, and kind of trying to figure out how God can shed light when it's darkest. So I know I've experienced that in my own life, and I believe that a lot of us have in a lot of different ways, that I hope that the truth and the grounding that Maria has will speak to volumes who come into the theater to watch this story.
Well, intertwined in this whole story is the Cowboy Way. And there's an ethic that kind of comes out through this. Ben, could you talk about that? And then I want Doug's thoughts on this too, of this ethic, because you're just kind of watching the Cowboy Way and then the Christian message kind of sneaks in as well.
Right. You know, it's interesting. I could be wrong, but I've been watching Westerns a long time. And I think we did something that probably has not been done in 100 years of film history. We articulated the Cowboy Way on screen in the King's English. And I can never recall that ever having been done in any film before this. And, you know, in the Old West, people had to rely on each other. And by and large, there was a virtue, there was integrity there was character, there was loyalty, there was courage, all of these things. But it's usually unspoken as you go through history and the history of film. And then in the 60s, we went through what I call the anti-hero movement. I mean, I hate to name names, but Clint Eastwood, you know, the spaghetti westerns. I mean, where the hero was really a shady character. Very flawed, probably predominantly flawed, and which I thought was not a healthy turn. But I don't know. I just felt compelled to try to articulate what I perceive to be the Cowboy Way. And look, there's no official Cowboy Way. I mean, everybody has their own ethic. But by George, that's the reality for me, and that's what I articulated on the screen. And I'll live and die by it.
Yeah.
By the way, let me step back just a minute to Jessica. She in real life incarnates what we were portraying on screen. You know, when Americans moved west and their women came with them, these women were, generally speaking, strong, independent, headstrong. They had to be. I mean, you couldn't assault the frontier and not be that kind of person. And I mean, from the first time we interviewed Jessica, we knew we had a lady who was a sincere, devoted Christian. She was strong and independent. I got to tell this story. She shows up on location for the first day of filming. She's got elk blood under her fingernails. She had just gone hunting with her dad for a week, packed into the mountains, killed an elk, packed it out on her back, and showed up a couple of days later on location to film this film. I mean, this girl is Maria Martinez on and off camera.
Yeah.
Hired on the spot.
Yeah, that was a really unique experience showing up to set. He's right. Having been in, 2 hours from any city, sleeping in a tent for days on end. And this is the first time I'm shaking the hands of these wonderful men I get to meet with. Pretty rugged experience.
Doug.
And one thing I'll say as well, the young girl, Jade Martinez, in the film plays young Maria. They cast a perfect job on this sweet young. Everything Ben described, I believe in my bones. This is how Jade will grow up. She actually showed up on set. I believe it maybe was her first or second day, and she had just gone antelope hunting.
Yeah, she went.
9-year-old girl
Yeah.
brings her antelope that she has just field dressed in the back of the truck to set. And Doug, who I don't think he had you seen an antelope at that time?
I think it was maybe one of my first times.
Yeah, Jade was explaining to Doug that they had just done that morning, and I could see the wheels in Doug's head turning. Like, wait, right now the antelope is in your truck. And then she went to show him. This brave, bold 9-year-old girl was very proud.
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad you brought up Jade. That girl is incredible. She was one of the most exciting young people I've ever met in my life. She really was Maria Martinez. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is for sure. And so were you. But wow, that Jade, wow, she was something else.
That by the way, as one of the casting directors, that was an easy cast. Jade sent her audition tape in, and you know what it was? It was her on horseback herding cattle. I'm talking about like a top hand. It was amazing.
Yeah, top hand.
So Doug, like you have this movie that you're making, and it's got the Cowboy Way. What were your thoughts when you were like, okay, how are we going to pull this off and put this together? I've seen it, so I know that you did it. But what went into your thought process?
Well, man, a lot of this stuff, it feels like I'm always sort of kicking it back to Ben with a compliment, but I'm definitely an outsider, and I think that was good for Ben, having an extra set of eyes. And what I mean by outsider is I really didn't grow up with that type of recreational activity or that kind of influence or those kind of mentors. I rode in 0 horses. In fact, today, Ben and he still owes me a horse ride, and he's been pushing that on me. I haven't even ridden a horse yet. So that's
California
probably
boy.
Well, East Coast boy. I was actually from Philadelphia and then moved to California.
Yeah.
But I came in as an empty vessel. And I think that's why it worked. I came in listening. I wanted to do the best I could to articulate the Cowboy Way the way that Ben had intended it. And I was really moldable. And so not coming in with a lot of preconceived notions of how it should look, I think really helped guide the hand and the process. So in many ways, I was a paintbrush for what Ben wanted to portray on the screen. Yeah.
Frank, let me piggyback
I love
on
the
that
job
for a
because
minute.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me piggyback on that a minute. I think I think the biblical term is discernment. Doug's got that. He was an outsider to Western culture, really never having been involved in it, but he's an astute observer, and of course he is. He's an extraordinary filmmaker, and I describe him as a filmmaker. He's a director. He's a casting director. He's a cinematographer. He's an editor. He's a writer. We had tremendous collaboration. One of the most dramatic and powerful scenes in this movie is something that Doug came out of his mind on location, on the spot. He choreographed a scene, directed all of the actors, got them to do it. And I'm telling you, it's one of the most amazing scenes in the movie. And it's characteristic of Doug's creative brilliance. And technically, from, knowing how to utilize modern digital technology, he's a wizard. He's a wizard. That's all I can say.
Thank you, Ben.
The ups and downs of the film, of course, there's, it's the story of Casey Shane. And of course, this is a real life movie. I mean, there's some real life stuff that happens, and you see this spiritual thing happening to him. But, what I thought was fascinating was Maria. I mean, you kind of watch the whole movie through Maria's expressions and her face. And I just thought that'd be a hard movie to put together. And they did it. It was masterful, didn't you think?
Yes, absolutely. The entire movie from start to finish is a beautiful movie. The cinematography, the moving music combined with the story itself. I'd definitely say it's a 2 thumbs up movie, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it gets 5 stars. I mean, this is the real deal. So tell us about when this movie's coming out.
Well, we'll have the initial theatrical release March the 3rd. We hope that it leads to encore performances, and then we hope it will roll over into a general release where you'll have theaters playing it 4 or 5 times a day, multiple days in a row. So we're planning and strategizing to extend that initial release. But the initial release is a one-night event. We're in 702 theaters in 49 states. We're playing from Hawaii to Alaska to Boston to Miami, and just really thrilled with the chance to get it out to a broad audience.
And where can we find out information on that? If people watching, we've got people in all 50 states that watch this show. How do they find out if that's coming to a theater near them?
You can go to our website. That's peachrivermovie.com, and it will direct you. You'll have a buy tickets button, and you can search by city or state or zip code, and it'll show you all the theaters close to you. Or you can go to fathomevents.com/events/Peace River and get the same information. Did I say that right, Doug?
Yeah, no, that was perfect. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, as we kind of wrap up, I want to get each of you to kind of tell us your big takeaway from the movie. Why don't we start with you, Doug?
Yeah, sure. Peace River, it covers a lot of things. And so one of our taglines in the movie is God, Country, and the Cowboy Way. Yeah. Some of the themes that get missed, though, in some of the marketing communications for the film that I think is worth talking about is, our lead character, Casey Shane, who enlists in the military, his team is a cross-section of different racial backgrounds. And that was an important part of the film as well. We had Native American, we had African American, we had Asia Pacific. I don't know if I'm using the exact right terminology for that, but we had a really good cross-section of what I think is Americana. And that was the point. The point was that we wanted to offer a clarity on what we believe is America, that it's an inclusion state, that it brings in a lot of cultures, it's a melting pot. And I think Ben had a very, beautiful heart in his articulation of it and what he was wanting to convey through it. And I really hope that that's not lost in some of the language that we use to try to promote the film, because there's such a great storyline there that plays a major part in what Casey ultimately becomes as a man, as a cowboy, and as a God-fearing Christian. Another theme that I really love about the film, I'm a father. I have a 10-year-old daughter. And it's really important to me as a father that my little girl, when she grows up and becomes of a certain age and looks for a man in her life, that she emulates, I think, to some extent, who Maria Martinez is. The character of Maria is a character who really has, I think, a very clear idea of who she is, her identity, and also the kind of person that would be an equally yoked person for her. And the hardest part for Maria's journey is challenging her understanding, most of our understanding of what love is perceived through the heart and the mind, and also navigating that with biblical truth when it comes to looking for and seeking out the person that God wants for you. And that's a really big part of the storyline for Maria. So I hope that when you're coming in and watching the film and maybe even coming in with your kids, just know, moms and dads, that this is a really beautiful story from a love story perspective that really touches on these things that I think would really add value to your children's walk, whether it be with God or on the journey to learning and knowing God. I think the story really speaks to a lot of that.
Doug, I hope these come out eventually after the theaters and DVDs, so that everybody can get a copy of these and have them in their homes.
They will. It's our plan to sell DVDs and Blu-rays. That will probably be coming in the summertime.
That's awesome. Well, Jessica, kind of give us your takeaway. You're the star of the movie, so it's incredible. So people have to see this movie. Give us your takeaway.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. So one of the takeaways that I love to share about this film is there is such a high level of authenticity from the men and women who helped us on the sets and really encouraged and spoke life and truth into making these moments as real as possible. Because as much as I grew up riding horses, I did not grow up on a ranch raising cattle, living the hard life and the wonderful life that these cowboys and cowgirls get to live. So these, the locations that we were on, it was absolutely incredible how God painted the skies for the sunrises and the sunsets, that we had the incredible luxury of just showing up and taking advantage of these incredible moments. I think when families come into this theater to see this story, they're going to have a lot to talk about. People may be expecting this, feel good love story that, you go home feeling warm and fuzzy, which I think some people might, but I also think some people are going to go home with extended questions that families can really nurture and really open, I would say, some of the raw material for what people might be going through on a daily basis and might not have the availability or the words to really put in place that I hope this movie gives that opportunity to. So I'm just so excited for the world to see Peace River and the things that they'll discover and share with us, because I'm sure the people will experience things that we haven't even touched the surface of yet that I'm excited to hear about.
And Ben, your thoughts?
It's a story of beauty, natural and human. It's a love story. It's a story of heroism. It's a story of theodicy, the defense of the goodness of God in the face of evil. And it is a story of redemption. It's the age-old prodigal son finding his way back home.
It's a drama for sure. And so there were several times in the movie I thought, I don't know, man, it goes deep.
Not to disappoint, we highly recommend that you see this movie. Take your family, take your friends, take your church, get as many people there as possible. We just absolutely loved it. I do have a recommendation.
What's that?
If you have a tendency to be moved to tears, don't forget your tissues. At the end of the movie, my face was a wet mess. But it was just incredible.
Yeah, this movie has it all. So, I mean, it's got action and drama. It is a thriller. So, all the different things. Now, what we're going to do before we close is we're going to show you the trailer. And so we're going to see a sneak preview of this. And so watch this and we'll be right back.
Casey, what you want to be when you grow up?
A cowboy, just like you, Pop.
Well, you come from a long line of cowboys. Cowboys love big sky and open range. He's a man of his word, loyal to his friends and family. Treats everyone with respect, especially women. Is courageous, fearing God and no man. You do that, and you'll be a rich man and a good cowboy.
That's what I want to be.
Never make the mistake of measuring wealth by money. Don't ever forget what's important. Casey, war is as close to hell as you'll ever want to get. I pray you never go there.
It's a second plane just crashed into the World Trade
We fought a
Center.
great evil and
I
won.
think we have a terrorist act of
Many
proportions
good
that-
men did not return. Always be thankful. Soul looking for a North Star and I found it right here in this valley. I feel peace every time I look at it. This is Peace River.
Well, as you can see, this is an incredible movie coming to theaters March the 3rd. And I know it's going to be on in tons of theaters. Ben, one more time, just so we don't miss this, is it going to be on all day, or are we looking for evening shows? Just to be clear, because this is a Fathom event. You can't see it on March the 3rd. You can't see it on March the 5th. So March the 4th, March the 5th. You have to go March the 3rd. So what
Correct.
How many times is this showing? Let's make sure we nail this down so we don't miss it.
It's one performance on one day, 7 p.m. local time, Thursday night, March the 3rd.
So go ahead and put that on your calendar, 7 p.m. March the 3rd. I'm telling you, this is an epic movie. The people that you're looking on this screen, these are people, if they're not big time famous, they're going to be. So you can just say, hey, we first heard about this movie on Frank Harber's show. And so it's been a joy having all of you. You can learn more about the Institute of Christian Defense at defendingthefaith.law. And please go see this movie. You will be blessed, and we will see you in the next episode.